And the slides are up.
And boom.
Let's do this.
Oh. Hey everyone, welcome to the 56th Town Hall on April 20. Hello.
Yes.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. I can't hear a thing. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear Henry, but could everyone else?
No.
All right. Well,
Okay. Can you hear me
Henry.
now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Hey everyone, welcome to the 56th Town Hall on April 27, 2020. So we're gonna be starting with updates from Jared. Hi Jared.
Hey, Henry. Thanks for the lead-in. Next slide, please. Yeah, came across this report called The Global Conflict and Disorder Patterns of 2020. I thought it was pretty interesting, actually. They say that in the past 10 years, the world has actually witnessed a decline in global cooperation and security. And then further into the document, they actually outlined that demonstrations are actually increasing drastically. However, they've also identified that most peaceful protests have no effect on political structures or elite politics. This report was done by the ACLED, which is the Armed Conflict and Location and Event Data Project, if I remember correctly. And this kind of led me down this rabbit hole of finding all of these sort of humanitarian data sources, essentially. It's quite interesting. Like the ACLED, for example, tries to update their event data in near real time. So like on a daily basis, as they're refreshing. So we could potentially use this campaigns there for the status project. At the same time, the Humanitarian Data Exchange aggregates a lot of the other data points, and there's another one called 3M, I believe, or W3, or I forget exactly. But they track all of the humanitarian activities that are happening around the world in not necessarily real time, but within a couple of weeks or so. And what's really interesting about this is it kind of presents itself as a perfect opportunity for status, because our technology enables people to practice their own versions of what's called prefigurative politics, giving sovereign communities the ability to build corruption-resistant institutions. And in these areas, private communications and sort of stable infrastructure is going to become increasingly important. So yeah, I thought that might be worth checking out, especially for marketing folk. Next slide, please. So not too much changes in terms of the overview. Hopefully in the next town hall, I'll present some high-level goals and some metrics in which we can follow as an organization, and everything that we'll try to align to. This is basically a reframing of a lot of the KPIs that every team currently has. And in those KPIs, in many respects, still are important and still should be followed. Nothing else has really changed in terms of the strategic focus. There has been last town hall I'd mentioned. Rachel is departing us, and we're looking to work on how we handle product management moving forward. And this has kicked off a new initiative in terms of improving our process in terms around development and further decentralizing the project in incremental manner. And so this will be led by Yuri, Andre, and Hester, and they're also moving and having some slight changes to their roles. I don't recall the exact details because I was off last week. there is a background doc here kind of explaining our history as it pertains to product management. And hopefully we'll see some new solutions, and we'll be working on that in the future. Yeah. So kudos this town hall. So Jinho, just for being a rock star and doing consistently amazing work with the community. Chu and Sergey, because they're amazing testers and they're absolute machines at doing that. Thank you so much. And also Pepper for her impact, reach, and flair on hiring. Certainly showing a lot of talent for that. Yeah, and just some feedback. Again, I got this form up here. Thank you for those who have sent me feedback. It's been really appreciated, and I'm working to integrate a lot of that. Of course, you can fill it out, and also you can hit me up on status if you want as well. And here's some books that I've been reading: Managing Uncertainty, The Origin of Wealth, The End of an Era, and To Dare More Boldly. I won't go into it and bore you with the details, but they're certainly interesting reads. So feel free to at least check out what they're about. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Jared. So we're going to be getting people update from Carrie. So hi, Carrie.
Hello, Kerry here. Let me know if the sound quality isn't great, and then I'll just skip this entirely. This is, by the way, really cool that we're on Jitsi today, not Zoom. That's a really exciting development. Okay, so brief update, like I said, from our People Ops team today. This is just really about hiring, because that's like a lot of what we're doing right now. It's both a busy but also like a weird time in hiring, right? Although we don't have a huge number of open roles, we're seeing so much activity on certain roles because of a lower supply of jobs available in the job market, and remote jobs in particular are getting a lot of traction right now. So it's a really busy time for us. And, you know, aside from just hiring from open roles, we're trying to like grasp this opportunity as much as possible to do as much outreach, you know, getting to know candidates who have unexpectedly come onto the job market, having chats with them, even just like building relationships in case we have open roles in the future that do match what they're looking for, if that's not what we have right now. To that end, it's been like really useful to get hold of lists of layoffs that have happened due to like COVID-19, or even become aware of projects that are downsizing. So if you hear of anything, please feel free to pass that information on to me or the team. And similarly, like if you're a candidate that's looking at this and you're interested in making a connection, like here's my contact details on the slide. I'm not the fastest to respond, but I do really love hearing from you all, and I love having a chat. So even if you're not sure how you fit in, but just want to, you know, make a connection, feel free to ping me anytime. Although we've seen a huge surge in applications on our less technical roles, the reality really is that, you know, for Status, we hire in a lot of roles that are quite specialist, and that talent pool is small and really illiquid. You know, things like protocol engineers, there aren't many of those. So those tend not to get filled by direct applicants. So we're working on basically like looking and sourcing and headhunting specific profiles and reaching out to candidates who we think would be really good. But that is kind of like a slower process than those more direct application roles. As ever, referrals are always really welcome, and they actually do have the highest conversion rate of any source of applicants that we have for jobs at Status. So just a reminder, there's an S&T bonus of $5,000 worth of S&T for any successful referrals. So even if you're not sure, feel free to pass on a CV and we can let you know what we think. Yeah, and that's it from People Ops today. Cheers.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to be getting updates from Cornest, and Rachel will be the one giving us that. Hi, Rachel.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you. Awesome.
Okay. Wonderful. Yes. So, Core, we are nearing version 1.3 release. We just need to submit that to the app stores today. So, knock on wood, it should be released this week. And the big features coming out with that release will be group chat, so private group chats again, and then also a dark mode for the UI. As usual, a bunch of bug fixes, and also we switched over the WebView implementation, which is mainly a developer-facing feature, if you will. But it was a big undertaking, so kudos to the team for all of those accomplishments. So version 1.4 in the pipeline is most likely going to include push notifications for Android. Previously, I had said that KeyCard might be included in a 1.4 release. We do need to coordinate with the KeyCard team on when KeyCard can be released, but the next step there, and this is now underway, is for thorough end-to-end QA again. And so Chu is in the process of owning that right now, so that keycard can be released in the coming weeks or months. What's next in the pipeline otherwise? So the status starter pack is still well underway. There's another little bureaucratic blip that we need to double check on, but we are in process of migrating app data from one entity to the new one within the App Store. That was, again, just a bureaucratic sort of loophole we needed to go through in order to make sales within the application. If we get caught up on this any longer than this week or even the next couple of days, we'll go ahead and release the starter pack on Android only, where we have no blocker. But we're really close to being able to get that up and running on the iOS platform as well. So hopefully we can figure that out in the next day or so. We also have to create the front-end implementation for the matching user referral scheme. That's a complement to the status starter pack, in which if you refer a friend to status and they purchase the starter pack as well, you'll receive some S&T credit for your referral. So screens are ready, we just need to build them. And then one other big project in progress right now. This is something we've been alluding to for the past few weeks, and we have just now carved out time for after achieving consensus on the approach during the last core dev call. So thanks to Oscar for that. We're doing documentation cleanup, and we're really writing protocol level specs for the status application. And we are asking for first drafts to be complete of various pages that the team has been assigned by this Wednesday. At that point, we will peer review the content, polish it up, make sure that nothing is missing, make sure that it can be followed by an outside user or developer, and then we will publish in the next couple of weeks, I would assume. And then lastly, I've linked to the latest product planning post on Discuss. We had a product planning meeting last week, during which we decided what the priorities would be for the core application, looking towards version 1.5 and beyond. And as Jared has already mentioned, this is going to be a lot more of a bottoms-up and decentralized process than it is even today, with me departing actually at the end of this week. So yeah, please feel free to get involved on that post. We'd love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, we'll be formalizing more ways for you to get involved in the very near future. And that's it for core. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rachel. So next up, we're going to be getting updates from the design team. So hi.
Hi, Henry. Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
All right, awesome. Yeah, quick update on the design team. We don't tend to give a lot of updates, so this is mostly an FYI on how the design team works. We don't give a lot of updates ourselves because the designers are embedded into the product development process and team. So whenever you hear an update about keycard or dark mode or group chat or you name it, basically most of the features will have had some to extensive design effort behind it as well. Those are usually already mentioned within the product updates. So this is just to give you a view on who works on what. So in case you have any questions or you want to learn more about the reasoning behind a particular design or what's next on the design agenda, you know who to talk to. How we work within the team, mostly as the designers are embedded in the product teams as well, is we have weekly calls, we have a channel, and some of the things that we discuss are basically the best practices. What do we think is the best design pattern for A or B? What should a popover component look like? What changes do we want to make to the header that will apply across the application? So those are basically the global issues. Sometimes more overall experience questions, like how do we handle payments coming from a product like Teller or Keycard into the app? So what does that whole flow overall look like? And also just very practical things like who works on what? Do you have time for feature X, Y, Z? And we talk a lot about design chit chat. So if you're interested, we hang out in #design. Actually didn't put that on the slide. We also have another channel where we tend to hang out. But in essence, I'd call us almost like a competency cluster or team. more than how you would, let's say, define a team like Core or Keycard or Embark. We have a vacancy at the moment, which Carrie also kindly called out, senior product design architect. We're definitely searching for someone to help us define what some of the features can look like at a more technical level, to also be involved more early on with how the flow of a new feature eventually appears in the application, what that kind of means for system requirements. Then, as I mentioned, to give you a view on who to go to with certain questions, a very high-level overview of who works on what. For anything related to chat on mobile, basically most of your mobile questions, go to Maciej. Sure, he's always happy to help. Anything related to desktop, Simon, first point of contact there. Payments and Keycard, we're kind of in between there ever since Andre decided to sadly leave status, and we have an open vacancy. So most of your questions, you can ping me. I may or may not know the answer. I may or may not have a solution. So that's we're kind of in between solutions there. Anything around components, especially the implementation, we have taken on the generous offer, I would say, maybe not voluntarily by the core team, to adopt George as one of our design team members as well. George, if you're listening as well, we love working with you and having you on the design team because we're learning a lot about how the application works. So anything related to components, you can ask George about. I put a link to more granular activities within each of these buckets, let's say, which you can find on Rike. So there's a link to Rike on the slides. These are very high level labels. Like chat could be anything from sending anonymous messages to self-destructing messages, but also including some global activities like notifications and how can notifications work. Wallet is also collecting, a term that collects different concepts, also has a lot to do with key management. So wallet on desktop, the activities there are primarily now with how do you set up your keys if you were to start using desktop and you already have status mobile or vice versa. So there's a lot of overlap there. If you want to know more, again, feel free to reach out to Maciej and to Simon. And any questions on components, I know he has some more developments to share coming soon, but please tag or ping George about that. That's the design update. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. So the next update we'll be getting will be on security and infrastructure. So Jacobs will be the one to give us that. Hi, Jacobs.
Hey. Yeah, Corey is not here. He's traveling, so I'll be a stand-in, a meager one, but we'll have to manage. As you've noticed, we're out of Zoom because of security concerns. We've replaced it with Jitsi, which works okay, although it does need work. There's been some improvements to key utilities, which is a bunch of tools for essentially converting old and new passphrases to well keys. There's a UI for it. It's not stable yet, but I'm sure somebody will find it useful. There's also been a lot of work on security documents for status, a bunch of drafts. Corey has been focused on that. And as always, we're reminding people to make backups of their seed phrases, preferably physical and preferably multiple, because really data loss always happens eventually. Can I get the next slide, please? Lovely. So Jitsi, we also have a bunch of updates to Node Status IAM. The new version brings a lot of cool features, especially for diagrams. I don't remember the name of the library, but there's UML diagrams built in now, which is pretty sweet. And we have better image uploads because we lost some images from a few months back, and now the uploads are actually going directly to DigitalOcean, so that should be safer and also more performant. I'm also working on quite a big refactor of Nix in Status React. This is work being done in preparation for desktop revival. because the stuff needs an easy way to get status go built, and I've been meaning to refactor that part of our Nix setup for a while. So that's still going on, multiple PRs with Nix refactors. I've decided to drop M3DB in favor of InfluxDB for metrics. I'm going to be trying to deploy that this week because Prometheus isn't a good place for long-term metric storage. Once something gets corrupted, it's very hard to recover. So I'm trying to switch. And there's been also a lot of upgrades for various packages because of Nix packages upgrade. But really the major one is Xcode. So if anyone hasn't upgraded, they should upgrade to 11.4.1. We also now have automatic backups of our Discord servers. So if anything happens, we will have the logs of everything at least a month back, I think. That should be it. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jacobs. So we'll be having a community update from Ken next up. Hi, Ken. Oh.
So Ken did mention there's a small chance his his.
Oh.
Are we missing someone?
I lost Carrie as well as Ken.
It seems like no one is presenting. No, I can't hear you, Carrie. We can't hear you.
All right, guys. Oh.
Yeah, maybe we should move to the next slide because I think we're stuck on community update. If we have anything next, we can move on to that, I guess. If nobody's presenting this one.
I think the issue is also that Carrie was presenting the slides, right?
Oh, it's switched to the first question.
Oh, yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, again, since now, so we're moving to the Q&A session. So the first question will be answered by Rachel. So since the question was from Kali, so since Stardust's name is name.stateofus.it, it's an ENS, right? When can we transfer our names like other ENS?
Yeah, so yes, stateofus.eth is an ENS domain. So anything registered as a subdomain, an ENS subdomain. And there could be two meanings to this question that I'm picking up on. The first is you might want to use an ENS name from another domain ending inside status. And if that's the case, you can simply follow the ENS registration flow within the profile section of the app. And type in your other ENS name with the ending in order to use that in status. The other meaning might be that you'd like to transfer ownership of the ENS name that you have registered with stateofus.eth. And if that's the case, it's temporarily on hold, that option. It's never been built into the status UI, although that would certainly be a nice feature to have at some point. You should be able to do it using the ENS official manager, if you will. There's an ENS app, which is at ens.domains. However, we're in the process of migrating the stateofus.eth contract. So until that is completed, you will not, unfortunately, be able to transfer names on your own. So, if this is what you meant by that question, I'd love to hear from you so that we can understand if this is important to some users who are looking to transfer ownership of their stateofus.eth addresses. And then we could potentially prioritize that higher, expedite it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
All right, great. Next slide. Wait.
The slides, but I've only got these other questions up here in front of me. There was the question, when will Binance USDT parity be added? Does anyone have an answer for that?
So we don't have any plans to add additional tokens to the app, but might help people who are looking to add another ERC20 token. You can custom add any ERC20 token from the wallet. As for tokens on other chains that are not ERC20 standard, we don't have plans to support that at this point in time.
Yeah, that sounds about right. As well, like one of the future features we'll also be aiming to include is opening up the registry to the community to vote in standard tokens in the future, but that's probably a long way off.
Unfortunately, it's still a hard-coded list.
Yeah. Q3, do you plan to integrate other blockchains into your wallet, for example, EOS and Telos? Yeah, so like as Rachel just mentioned, currently we focus on Ethereum and Ethereum 2, and that may change in the future, but currently there is no plans to integrate other blockchains. That's a long question. Status Market themselves as a peer-to-peer platform and has seen upcoming marketing slides demonstrating this against the Status competitors. However, conflicting views from Status devs saying you're never directly connected to peer-to-peer in Status. I feel this is a super important metric and devs are best qualified to know what constitutes a true peer-to-peer. Can you therefore confirm whether Status is truly peer-to-peer? I feel this is important to clarify in order to avoid any future conflict from competitors with whom the comparison has been made against. Right. Okay, so that's a pretty good question, actually. Poor Majestic Iceland goal. So yes, Status is peer-to-peer. However, in the current state, post the server, the Waku and Whisper infrastructure for doing the communication. There is also some ways that we modify discovery in the sense that we want to ensure that you're not constantly updating your peer list. So the reason for doing this is because it's very intensive in terms of your network and bandwidth, as well as battery consumption. So these things are certainly being addressed with our VAC project and our upcoming infrastructural work that we're doing. And the reason this kind of happened is also historic. Like Whisper itself was never really enabled by default on Ethereum nodes, and therefore no one was really running that network. So by that reason, like we're really the only ones that are running the Whisper network at this stage. So in the future, of course, like you can, of course, actually even today, you can even run your own Status node and connect to that directly if you'd like. And hopefully, as we improve the protocols, that will become less so the case, and there'll be more reason for other people to run nodes as we introduce the incentivization for doing that.
Awesome, thank you. Oh,
go for it, Harry.
All right, so thank you everyone for tuning in for this town hall. So our next town hall will be on 11th of May. That's in 2 weeks. So thank you everyone once again. Bye and take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.